Welcome to the Insurance Producers Podcast, where we bring you the top personalized producers, insurance agents, and industry partners, giving you at least 3 takeaways to 10x your production and build your multi-million-dollar revenue books. So sit back, relax, and become inspired by the success stories and strategies of the world's top insurance minds. Let's roll. I have a great person today on the podcast. I'm super excited to share with you guys Quotamation and Ahmad Jaffery, who is the co-founder of Quotamation. Ahmad Jaffery, welcome to the Insurance Producers Podcast. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Cyrus.
Awesome. Glad to have you. Ahmad, for people that don't know you, there's a lot of people because you're kind of one of those guys that's kind of been on the back room almost, kind of figuring this technology thing out for the last couple of years. And a lot of people are going to know you based on what you have built. So do you want to take a little bit of time just maybe telling us a little bit about yourself, Ahmad? Who are you? Where you come from? How long have you been in the insurance industry? And kind of where's your journey been?
Absolutely. I'm happy to share. So my journey ultimately started at Apple. I worked at the Apple stores for over 7 years, and that was probably a time when I learned how to really take care of somebody when it comes to customer service. And things that I learned in Apple, I still use it to this day. So for example, the 3 A's of Apple, which is acknowledge, align, assure, right? You acknowledge a situation, you align with how you're going to help that customer, and then assure them that you're going to take care of them, right? So the 3 A's that kind of stuck with me ever since then. And then from Apple, I took a little gap year, went into start my own video production company. I did that for about 2 years before making my way to LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I worked on the social media team, helping Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, pretty much anywhere where LinkedIn had a presence. I was there working overnights, helping teams out in India and Ireland, making sure people are taken care of when they reach out to LinkedIn. And then right around 2020, right when COVID was starting, I knew I wanted to change. I knew I wanted to make an impact to an entity or agency or business here locally. And that's when I reached out to Cyrus and I was like, hey, man, could you use me in your agency? And that's how my journey in the insurance world started.
Awesome. I really want to come back to the Apples. I think you said AAL, or the AAA that you said. I would really love to come back to that on how you're using that into the agencies now. So tell us a little bit about you came over to the insurance channel, and where did Quotamation come from? Like, how did you guys come up with Quotamation, and where are you guys with that today?
Absolutely. So Quotamation ultimately came about for our internal agency. We were getting a ton of lead flows into our agency. We didn't have enough agents to work on them. And we came to a conclusion that we either invest in 20, 30, 40 agents to kind of help us with the lead flow, or we take that money and invest it into a platform that's going to help our existing agents write more business. And that's where the idea of Quotamation came about. And on average, being in the independent channel, you have multiple carriers. So it takes you about an hour and a half to 2 hours to put together a pretty thorough package for a proposal for a client, right? I like to take my time. I like to make sure every single thing is correct before I share that with my client. And that was, that's quite a bit of time. And when we started coming with the idea of Quotamation and being able to gather the information that I was waiting on sometimes from the client, or going to multiple sites to gather it, like the replacement cost of a home, the drivers in the household, the VIN numbers of the vehicles. One little number can make your life a little bit harder when it comes to quoting. So being able to gather all that data within the first couple minutes, and then from there quoting it out, that was a game changer for me personally. And using Quotamation, I was able to cut down that 2 hours down to 30 to 45 minutes. So I personally was saving quite a bit of time when I was quoting, and our agents were. And what's cool about Quotamation is being actively worked on a day-to-day basis through the agencies that we own because we are actively quoting and still in the business, right? So that helps us kind of figure out what the bugs are there. What is the feedback that an agent wants and needs and wants it integrated in Quotamation. So the fact that we've only really been in Quotamation a year, that's just some beginning steps to something much greater that's going to come down the road because we're getting so much feedback as we're onboarding agencies around the country and training our UI, training our technology to become better and better as we move on.
Yeah, so for people that don't know Quotamation, Ahmad, kind of an elementary, what do you think? Like, yeah, so like Quotamation, what I'm from what I'm envisioning, what you said was Quotamation is pretty much a quoting tool that quotes home and auto insurance on the personal line side, right? For people that don't know Quotamation like at all, like can you just elementary on layman's terms just kind of explain what it does?
Absolutely. So let's just say you go to Geico or State Farm, right? You can go online and get a quote from them and get a home and auto quote. They pull all the information for you and they're able to provide you with a rate. And they don't really run reports. That's always done afterwards. So you're getting preliminary quotes. And so many people are, going through with those policies even without, it being truly finalized at that point. That's Quotamation is very similar to that. You can embed it in your website, or an agent can go to quotamation.com and within a couple minutes get a home and auto quote with all the carriers that agent and agency is appointed with. So it works
Mm.
directly with their codes and their CRM system to help gather all the information of the home, all the information about the autos, and quote it out with all your carriers. And you can pick and choose
And
which carriers you want to quote with.
and it's linked to the rater, so it's directly integrated with the rater, whatever. So EasyLinks is what obviously it's integrated with right now, directly working on PL Rater as we speak. So if you have a rater, it's a prettier version of the rater, is what I would assume with the UI. So so Quotamation came around. You came on the independent channel. You're 2 3 years in. Quotamation is saving you guys a ton of time. How has the agencies? Have you guys helped any agencies? How are the agencies taking this, and where are you guys with appointing agencies? I guess it's not really appointing agencies; it's basically bringing on agencies to be able to use this and embed this inside of their website and all of that stuff. Where are you in that process right now? Where's the team at?
Absolutely. So we truly went live in the summer after we went through an accelerator program called 101 Weston Labs out of North Carolina. Um, they were amazing to work with and kind of helped get us to a place where we can just launch this product and start testing it out with agents around the country. So since about summer, we're up to about 50 agencies that are using Quotamation and have that integration built in for their agents. And some agencies are using it on their website as well. So if you go to exarbaninsurance.com, click get a quote, you're able to get a quote directly with their codes, but is branded with Exarban's color schemes and logos. So it's unified with your brand standards. And we have integrations with Comparative Rater, EasyLink. So that's our clientele at the moment. And that's who we're adding on those agencies and agents that have access to EasyLink's Comparative Rater. And we're onboarding about 1 or 2 a week and making sure they're well taken care of at that point.
Yeah, I guess why wouldn't Ahmad, if somebody has Easy Links right now and they're like, well, I have Easy Links, I have the Raider, like, why would I need to use you guys? What would be your number one or two things that you would say is why you should obviously use Quotamation instead of just your normal Easy Links Raider that you're using right now?
Absolutely. I'd say the biggest reason why you should be using Quotamation is time. We know your time is valuable, and the less time you can spend quoting and have a system do it for you, the more simplified it's going to be. And you can go through a comparative rater and get quotes, but you're going to have to ask the client, okay, what's your VIN numbers? What's your drivers? You're going to want to ask all that information. What's your, based off your address, is your basement finished or not? Or if you have a slab, things like that, that it's going to take you time to gather all that information. But what if that's done within the first 2 minutes? Like you have all
Right.
that information that you need, and then you quote it out with all your carriers. And from there, you can start out with whatever carriers you prefer. And the way we build Quotamation is how many clicks it's going to take you to get to that finalized quote page within a carrier. So you start out with Quotamation, get all your quotes. Within a few clicks, you can see who's potentially providing you with the best rate. And from there, our technology, you can just click on Travelers or Nationwide or Safeco, and it takes you directly to that quote. And from there, if you finalize the quote, you have a policy ready to go within 15 to 30 minutes. And you can
Wow.
really
So you're
streamline it at that point.
so you're saying like if this is within about 30 minutes, I would say, like you're able to pretty much close a home and auto deal from start to
Yep.
finish while probably the consumer is on the phone
Yep.
even.
Oh,
Would
absolutely.
you okay.
Yeah. And I would say if it's an auto only quote, and I use it every day, I have a client reach out to me a couple of days ago, wanted auto only, had two vehicles, two drivers, very simple. I put all that information through Quotamation. Within about a minute, I just knew which carrier. It's a very well known carrier. I'm sure we all know Progressive. I knew they were going to have great rates because, you kind of understand the nature of how individuals like to shop and what kind of
Mhm.
people are they and who do they prefer. And I just knew Progressive was going to be the right fit. And they started out with the best rate on Quotamation when I was able to see the list of 7 different agencies that I want quoted. So I was like, okay, let me just start with Progressive. Went with Progressive, finalized the quote, and within 10 minutes, I had a proposal ready to go. And while the client
Wow.
was on the line with me, and from there, I was able to just take payment information, process the policy, and send over the applications for them to sign. So if it's auto only, 10 minutes. I don't, as long as they provide you, if the carrier wants that risk, as long as it's not a Hyundai or underwriting
Right.
issues due to too many claims, you can, within 10 minutes, auto policies you can quote. Home and auto, I like to take a little bit extra time because I like to be thorough and take care of my clients by shopping them around with every carrier that I have access to make sure they're getting the best coverage and the best price. So that can usually take me about 30 to 45 minutes at that point.
Well, I would imagine right now with the state of the industry, you're probably not going to have 5 or 6 different options for home and auto, right? The bundle is a
Yeah.
big deal right now, as you guys know. So for right now, I mean, if you've got just two carriers that are going to give you a bundled rate for home and auto, like in the state of Nebraska, for example, for you, between those two, there's a very, very good possibility that you know exactly where you're going to go, spend some time on, and you're able to go to Travelers or you could go to Auto Owners or whatever that is. You're right in there within 2 minutes. You're like, okay, Auto Owners it is. You go to Auto Owners, and then another 20 minutes building that relationship with the consumer. If things make sense, boom, man, you're on your way to closing the deal. So it's going to save you quite a bit of time, and all that information is already in Easy Links, which is
Yeah.
another factor that people are going duplicating that information into Easy Links automatically. It transfers over, and obviously to all the other carriers. And for some of them that have direct contracts, Ahmad, I would assume that those carriers, and I truly believe this, you want the carriers to have the data of how terrible they are with those rates for those zip codes and all them, right? So you want to give them those quotes. You want the carriers to know what they need to do to fix their rates in certain places. So you're doing the carriers a disservice and the industry a disservice if you're just going to Progressive Direct and then just basically going to Progressive directly and then just quoting it in Progressive and moving on and not even putting it through your rater because there's not too many carriers giving you quotes in the rater. So as an industry, I think you need to use the rater, I would imagine, to be able to give the feedback to the carrier so they do open up and we all become into a state of insurance where we were a year ago where things were really good. So, okay, that sounds great, man. That's honestly, if you're in Easy Links right now and you're using a comparative rater, you're in a state where it's very hard right now or maybe really good, I don't know why you wouldn't use Quotamation today, to be honest with you, with how much time it's going to save you and how easy it is. And um, Ahmad, do you want to share a little bit about the contract? Like, because I know a lot of people are like, well, do you control the data? Do you own the data? Or, well, it's probably going to be way too expensive. Why would I pay this much to Easy Links and then I pay you? Maybe you want to share a little bit. Can you share a little bit about the contract maybe and a little bit about their data that they're maybe concerned about and maybe just some fees and stuff like that you have?
Yes, absolutely. So our contract is very straightforward. It states that that any data that we get from your clients, they're all yours. We may use it to enhance if there's any bugs or issues. We'll go into it and be able to fix that for you. But that data is all yours. And as soon as you go through Quotamation, that data gets inputted to your CRM system, and then also goes to the carrier. So you can the bridging of data is super easy through Quotamation as well. And our contract is very straightforward. Being independent agents working on a day to day, we understand that you know. Oh man, how would I break this down? Uh, I would say being independent agents, we're using that data to. And I totally messed up there. Can you cut
That's
this
okay.
part out?
We can, yeah. Keep going though.
Okay. Yeah. So our contract states that the data is all yours. We have a very simplified month to month subscription pricing. So, you can use it. And if you're like, hey, I'm not getting the most use from it, then that's totally fine. I think by using it and seeing how simplified it is, how you can embed this into your website, we think you're going to want to be a lifelong client of ours because of how quickly we're also enhancing our product as well. We have a new UI that's coming out first quarter of next year, and we have some really awesome integrations that unfortunately I can't talk about at the moment, but I'm super excited to release those coming up on first quarter of 2024.
That's awesome. And I would imagine, Ahmad, the beauty, like literally, man, for $99 a month starting, I don't see why this wouldn't enhance your agency. And and another thing that I don't think we shared, Ahmad, was the leads that are going to come in from Quotamation. Like, because last night I looked at our leads. There's 3 leads that came in last night after 6 o'clock, between 6 o'clock and about midnight, that somebody went into jaffreyinsurance.com website, just got a quote. From there, there's 3 of them I saw. It just comes under anonymous, and we track that, of course. 3 people went in, got quotes, gave us their date of births, gave us their driver's licenses, gave us their VIN numbers, their home stuff, and got quotes. And they have those quotes. And to just come home, or I'm sorry, to come to the office the next morning, and there's 3 leads just sitting there last night that went into your website, and you have all that information in your power. You pretty much have 90% of the quotes done. Do you want to share that email as well that goes
Yep.
out after they get
Yep.
that?
Yes, for sure. So we all know people nowadays, they want things super quick. They want it easily accessible. They want it within the tip of their fingers, right, on their phones. And that's what Quotamation provides. You can literally text out a link or have people go to your website, click get a quote, and it syncs with Quotamation and is able to get a home and auto quote. Doesn't matter what time it is. There's some shoppers that are around, they're up 10, 11 p.m. at night, and maybe they're just checking to see what rates are looking like. And they're able to get those quotes anytime they want. And what's awesome is as soon as they get a quote, an email gets sent out to the agent tagging the client along with it, showcasing, thanking them for getting the quote, and then with a PDF attachment that shows the different rates that they were able to receive online. And obviously, our
Mm-hmm.
terms and conditions, we have disclaimers in place saying, hey, these are not finalized policies. These are preliminary quotes. A licensed agent still has to work on these quotes and get you the finalized premiums at that point. And I think that the ease of use for agents and agencies around the country for using Quotamation is probably is a big factor in how you intake leads and how you're going to change the industry a little bit, right? Like you can send a text to somebody and have them quote within 2 minutes for home and auto. 5 years ago, I don't think that was a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Man, I love that, especially with a lot of people that are working with lenders, real estate agents, because you build this technology obviously for really because you're working with lenders and real estate agents to make their life easier, and credit unions and financial advisors, accountants, friends, family, right? Like there's a place in there that says who referred you, in the bottom. So it's like Uncle Susie referred this person, and Uncle Susie would have never told you that they referred this person, but it's in there that says, "Hey, Uncle Susie referred it," and you're like, "Oh, cool, thank you, Uncle Susie, Aunt Susie."
Hey, this is what
But
happens when you're in the industry,
yeah, Uh, that's funny. But so you understand, right? Like, so I think the fact that somebody as a lender, real estate agent, mortgage officer, financial advisor, they kind of need some of these things, and they're with them right there, and they're able to just go online to Quotamation, and you obviously send them that link. They can go to your website. You know, we tell all of our lenders and real estate agents, financial advisors, accountants, whoever sends us leads, just go to our website anytime. You can see a quote literally within 45 seconds with just literally 4 pieces of information and 5 clicks. So the fact that the old way of getting a quote was so awful, where you almost have to give like you give blood almost, right, to get home an auto quotes of VIN numbers, date of birth, driver's license number, coverages, and 100, 300, blah blah blah. Like, that's why the old way of like State Farms and all states and American families have been around and sitting with them for a long time, paying so much more money than honestly being with an independent channel. And it's because they just think it's so hard to get a quote. So,
Yeah.
so what you're building is literally within 45 seconds, you're able to see what you could do. And then if you want to talk to a licensed individual to kind of go over it, and obviously the education piece of it, which is important to you, do you want to talk a little bit about the education piece? Because like, you don't want them to go bind online themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, you still believe in the independent channel. So maybe you want to share a
Yeah.
little bit about that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Any way you can gather leads, whether it's from a mortgage officer, a realtor, um, financial advisor, those leads come through, you still want to be the advocate for not only that person that sent you the lead, but also the client. You want to be able to be very thorough, and have a holistic picture of how you're presenting a proposal, right? And by getting those preliminary quotes, you're kind of doing it really quickly. Then when that quotes, you're finalizing them within the carrier, you can educate the client and really like talk about why you need specific coverages. And I like to take my time. I sometimes go line by line and making sure my clients understand exactly what they're purchasing and how I'm protecting their assets, their families, their vehicles, anything that they have. They trust me with their belongings, their home. So I have to do the best I can to make sure they're covered sufficiently. And what's awesome is every time I get a lead from a loan officer or realtor, and I'm able to build that connection with their clients and help them close on their insurance quotes, that makes me look good in front of that realtor and loan officer. And
Mm-hmm.
also, when I'm talking with that client, I'm also praising the realtor or the loan officer, letting them know how
Right.
awesome they are to work with, and thanking them again and again to make sure, for sending over that lead and giving us the opportunity to take care of their family at that point. Because that's how I view. I don't see a lot of our clients as just another client. I see them, as an extension of my family. If I wouldn't put myself in a position with a policy or a coverage, I would never do that to
Yeah.
another individual, if that makes sense.
100%. I think that's an important piece. The fact that you can get quotes real quick, change the old mindset of you have to be with this carrier for a long time because it's just a pain in the butt to get quotes. I think you're changing the game, man, for independent channels, and you're given a platform like a Zebra, Lemonade, and maybe like a Policy Genius and stuff like that. You're given that kind of a platform that a lot of those companies make money on, right? Because they've
Yeah.
got really cool technology. You can get quotes online really quick. You're given the technology of those kind of companies, VIU by Hub, Matic. You're given those kind of company technologies in the hands of the insurance agent. So you're honestly having a technology company that's worth millions of dollars that people spend a lot of time on building in your hands for you to be able to use for literally $99, as low as $99 a month. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
powerful, in my opinion, on what you're doing, man, at Quotamation. And I think that that's a lot of kudos to you for doing something to kind of change an industry. And I have to ask you this because I've been asked this all the time, man. One of the biggest hurdles in the independent channel right now is the rewrites, man. Everybody and their mom is doing rewrites, right, to keep these people for the different carrier. Nationwide's rates gone up. Every carrier's rates have gone up. What does that process look like, or what's maybe a timeline that you can maybe pinpoint to where would rewrites be done inside of Quotamation at one point? Like, is that a plan at one point? Because that will solve a lot of people a lot of time.
Absolutely. It's definitely in our pipeline. We understand this market is very tough for insurance at the moment. A lot of carriers don't want to write business, they're restricting it. So our process is very straightforward. We still run through Quotamation and quote those clients, those rewrite clients through Quotamation. And then what we do is we just sync the two accounts on EasyLinks together. That's like the workaround we found at the moment. But in our pipeline, we would like to find a way to potentially extract the EasyLinks account and quote them out directly through Quotamation at that point. We're definitely working on it, but as you know, with technology and APIs, things take their time, and we have some priorities that we're working on. One of them is going to be a life piece where we're able to streamline the life quoting through Quotamation, provide a 5-year quick, easy, bindable term life policy for clients who are interested or agents who want that feature. And we have some new integrations coming up in first quarter of 2024 that we're actively working on. So we understand rewrites is a pain point. We found a workaround for it at the moment, but really, I think the insurance industry is going to change in 2024. Things are going to come back around. Things are going to open up. And when you use Quotamation right now, you're only setting yourself up for that successful time that's going to come when all these carriers want to rate. We understand right now the rates are limited, but we're seeing some really good results with loss ratios. I think Progressive just came out with the 96%. That's really going to help a lot of carriers open up for business. And when you're working on Quotamation right now, you can work around your sales flow through Quotamation. And even though the carriers aren't providing rates for you, you're only setting yourself up. So when those carriers do provide rates, you're streamlining it. You're going to get faster and faster at that point and find those integrations working for your agency in a very successful manner.
Yeah, and I would imagine, man, 6 months from now, when things are like, I truly believe at the end of this year, maybe first quarter 2025, man, things are going to get wild because insurance carriers are going to get back to profitability. We hope some of the weather patterns kind of help with that, which I think it will. They've got kind of figured things out. Man, it's going to get extremely, extremely busy, I think, at the end of 2024 and then going into 2025. So if you set yourself with your tech stack correctly to be able to quote those people accurately and fast and get ahead of the game, that's going to be you're going to be way ahead of the game, I guess, if you do those things right to figure that out. And there are many other tech stacks, obviously, that you can align with to be able to do some of these things. But this is one that I really wanted to pinpoint today, Quotamation, which has completely changed my agency's life, the agencies that I own internally here. And obviously, it's done the same thing for you, Ahmad. And it's going to be pretty fun for us to go into 2024 with some of the new integrations and all the other stuff that we've got cooking, which is going to be pretty exciting. 2024 is going to be a lot of fun. So I guess what we will do is we only have a couple minutes, so we want to make sure that we keep this, man. We like to keep this podcast within 30 minutes, so we make sure producers get a lot of value out of this. Ahmad, do you want to really quick? Have you seen a conversion ratio different between using Quotamation and then also what are agents doing? Because before you're asking, obviously, a lot of these questions about what's your name, what's your date of birth, what's your address, what's your VIN number, like you're spending a lot of time, which is meaningless conversations. It's not building connections. Has that helped with the conversion ratio, that process of it, gathering the information and things and fast and all that stuff? Like, do you want to share a little bit about how has conversion ratio changed since using Quotamation in your agency? And what's that like conversation like today versus before when someone's calling in for a quote?
Absolutely. So before, when somebody would call in, get my piece of paper out or my Word document up on my computer, start taking my notes. And then once I gather the notes, I'm going to EasyLinks. I'm putting all the information in through my rater, rating it, then going to the carrier, right? So that was a much longer conversation. Now, when a client calls in, I'm on the phone with them. I open up Quotamation. Hey, what's your address, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client? And I'm like, perfect. Hey, was this home built in 2007, about 3,500 square feet? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay, awesome. And they're like, oh, wow, you found that out pretty fast. I'm like, yeah, we have a proprietary technology that we use that helps us kind of streamline this. And then from there, I'm like, hey, does X, Y, and Z live in this at this home and is a driver on your policy? Yes or no? It helps streamline those questions. Instead of asking, I'm confirming with the clients
That's huge.
what I'm pulling, right? And as I confirm, I'm following through the quotes. I'm like, within 5-10 minutes, I'm able to get my preliminary quotes done for home and auto, and I can sometimes keep them on the line as I work on the quotes and build that rapport with them. And if I'm able to find a good deal right there on the spot, no underwriting issues, I can pitch them that. I can send them the quote via email and kind of close the deal within that first phone call, because that's when the client's on the line, that's where you're most successful closing a deal, right?
The
And
first call.
the first call, yeah, when they're on the phone, first call. And if you can provide them with a home and auto quote finalized within that first phone call, that conversion ratio is super high. And I would say personally for me, my conversion ratio was sitting right around 40%. I would say this past year, and that's gone closer to 50%, 55% using Quotamation, because I'm not taking the time to get back to those clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the time now. Okay, you're on a call, you're ready to go. I'm going to take care of you right now. Why wait?
Mm-hmm.
Why wait for another phone call or wait a couple of days to get back to you? I'm going to take care of you right now. And a lot of times people like that convenience. They just want to be done with it. They just want to get the policies that they need and sort of move on. And for me, that's a huge weight lifted off my shoulder. If I can sell that policy right there and I can send them the policy documents, everything, and send my onboarding email, tag my account
Mm-hmm.
managers and my VA to make sure everything is done correctly on the back end within that first 30 minutes to an hour, my hands are done. I can go to the next client with a fresh mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have
That's
this
awesome.
policy lingering in the back end.
Man, I love that process. I love that you're confirming things versus before you're asking for things and they might not have their VIN numbers and all that stuff. I just want a home quote. I don't want an auto quote. Like your bundling has gone up, I would assume significantly because, hey, I've already got all the car information anyways. You might as well just kind of do this, right? Because you might as well get a quote from us and kind of see what happens. So for somebody that's doing 10 quotes a day, just so I can do this number real quick, for somebody that's doing 10 quotes a week, so somebody that's doing 10 quotes a week, for example, as a producer, this is a producer's podcast. A lot of producers are listening. 10 quotes a week, you times that by 52 weeks. That's 520. Obviously, at a 40% conversion ratio, that's about 208 clients. So 208 clients is what you were closing before. Our policy by household is about 4,000 in premium in the state of Nebraska. That gets you about $832,000 is what you're closing in premium, right? 832,000 depends on what you're making in commission. I mean, 100,000, for example, let's just say, and to go to that 520 times it by 55%, that's 286 clients, Ahmad, and you times that by 4,000, it's almost pretty close to like 1.2 million. So really, man, if you think about it, you're writing an extra 1.2 million instead of 830 some thousand. So you're writing an extra 300,000 in premium than before, right? You take that and you do the commission on it. That's an extra like $40,000, right? $35,000 to $40,000, whatever the math makes sense for you. So I think of it as, man, we do 25,000 quotes probably. It's probably what we would do this year, right? With all of our agencies, even at a 5% extra conversion ratio because of using Quotamation, think about what it does to revenue for your agency and our agency. I mean, it's massive what it can do. Even at 10 quotes a week or 5 quotes a week, it's going to be massive for you as a producer to be able to simplify your life and make it super easy for the consumer to go get quotes. And from what I saw, we pretty much have had about 32 people that went online in the month of November and get quotes online without even talking to us, giving us all the information because we direct a lot of traffic. That 32 was never going to do that because our office would be closed after 5 o'clock, and all those were after 5 o'clock. So think about 32 extra leads that went online, got quotes online, were very interested, gave us your VIN numbers, gave you your phone number and all that stuff. I mean, it's massive what Quotamation can do for your agency. So I hope you try it. Ahmad, where can they find find you? Where can they get more details on this? How can they reach out if they're interested in Quotamation?
For sure. Quotamation.com, that would be the quickest way for you to sign up for a demo or contact us directly. You can also reach out to me personally, Ahmad at Quotamation.com. That's spelled out AHMAD at Quotamation.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I love making friends. Happy to connect there as well and kind of showcase how we use Quotamation internally and how we're potentially going to be, changing a lot of agencies' lives down the road. So that's where they can find
Yeah.
us.
That's awesome, Ahmad. Hey, I would say if and Ahmad just did this. If you do come to Quotamation, go to Ahmad at Quotamation and go online and get a demo with Quotamation and mention the Insurance Producers Podcast, you are going to get your first month for free for you to just check it out, see what you think. There is no contracts or anything like that. And if you just mention, come try it out, see what you think. If it's not for everybody, maybe, but you got to try it out if you're for sure on Easy Links. And we should have hopefully. We're very close, having some conversations with PL Rater as well. So once we have that, things are going to be completely different for us. So that being said, my last question for you, man. There's two pieces of this here. So what would you say is what do you say is the difference between a great insurance producer and then an average producer? So what's the definition of greatness when it comes to a producer?
I think greatness when it comes to a producer is wanting to do it now. Like an average producer will always say, that sounds like a tomorrow problem, right? I think a great agent is always like, no, that's a today problem. That's a right now problem. Let me take care of this now so I can go home, have an ease of mind, and not worry about it tomorrow. That's what I would say makes somebody great versus average.
Absolutely. We have a producer. Her name is Tara, and that girl does not wait till tomorrow, man. She is like, I'm going to get this done right now. I do not care. And that's one of the reasons, man. She'll do 1.7, 1.8 million in premium this year, which is absolutely insane. We're going to probably have 3 or 4 people over $1 million in premium this year. And the fact is, without Quotamation, they could never do that. To be honest with you, they could never do that. So a couple of them did it before, but we've had 2 more people join the 1 million mark this year because of it. So reach out if you need. Last question then. What is one thing, Ahmad, if you would consider your day one, what is one thing that has to happen in your day for you to consider the day one? How do you win your day? What's one thing?
Absolutely. I would say my morning routine, right? If I have a good morning and I can have a fresh start to the day, whether it's me, grabbing my cup of coffee, doing some journaling and then hanging out with my wife for 20, 30 minutes before I get started and get that kiss goodbye before I leave to work. That really sets me up for success the rest of the day. And I feel like I've already won. And if I feel like I've already won in the morning, that kind of just moves forward to the rest of my day.
Love that, man. Ahmad, I appreciate you, man. Quotamation is doing some good things. Keep going, keep doing, and keep changing the industry. We appreciate you, buddy.
I appreciate you, Cyrus. Thank you for having me.